Why Star Trek has Section 31 and Starfleet intelligence. What's the difference? In the pristine utopia of the United Federation of Planets, where diplomacy, exploration, and mutual understanding reign supreme, one might expect that clandestine operations and spycraft would be relics of a more barbaric past. After all, Star Trek has long sold itself as a vision of the best of humanity's future, a post-scarcity society where moral clarity guides decision-making. And yet, lurking in the shadows of Starfleet's clean corridors and noble missions are two mysterious, morally ambiguous agencies, Section 31 and Starfleet Intelligence. To casual viewers, these two entities might seem interchangeable. Both engage in espionage. Both operate in secrecy. Both do the dirty work that polite Starfleet officers would rather not think about. But look closer, and you'll discover a fascinating difference in philosophy, purpose, and execution that sets them worlds apart and reveals just how complex the Federation's idealism truly is. The Federation's dirty laundry. Despite its pacifist values, the Federation exists in a galaxy teeming with existential threats. The Romulans, the Klingons in earlier eras, the Dominion, the Borg, all presented challenges that could not be solved through diplomacy alone. While Captain Picard may give impassioned speeches about morality, someone has to be working behind the scenes to gather intelligence, prevent attacks, and ensure that the Federation survives long enough for those speeches to matter. That's where the need for intelligence agencies arises, not just one, but two. And though they sometimes overlap, Section 31 and Starfleet Intelligence embody two distinct sides of the same strategic coin. Starfleet Intelligence, the Federation's CIA mostly. Starfleet Intelligence SFI is the official intelligence arm of the Federation. Think of them as the CIA or MI6 of the Star Trek universe, responsible for gathering intelligence on hostile powers, managing covert operations, and briefing Starfleet Command on potential threats. Their role is institutionally recognized. They follow a chain of command, and they're governed by the laws and ethics of the Federation. At least in theory. We've seen them referenced throughout Star Trek, particularly in the Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Enterprise. They're the ones collecting data on Romulan warbird deployments, analyzing the Dominion's troop movements, and decrypting transmissions from Cardassian operatives. Their work may not be glamorous or even often featured on screen, but it is necessary and, relatively speaking, above board. But because the Federation is built on ideals of transparency and moral governance, Starfleet Intelligence must balance its intelligence gathering with legal and ethical constraints. They're not authorized to assassinate foreign leaders, violate treaties, or run off the books genetic enhancement programs. For that, you'd have to look to Section 31, the Federation's necessary evil. Section 31 is not officially part of Starfleet. It doesn't follow a chain of command. It doesn't answer to the Federation Council. In fact, most of the Federation doesn't even know it exists. First introduced in Star Trek, Deep Space Nine, Section 31 presents itself as an autonomous organization whose sole purpose is to protect the Federation by any means necessary. Their name derives from Article 14, Section 31 of the Starfleet Charter, which allegedly grants special powers during times of extreme threat. But what Section 31 takes this to mean is carte blanche authority to act in secrecy, free from oversight, ethics, or morality. They are the ones who would infect a founder with a virus during the Dominion War. The ones who would manipulate events, assassinate key figures, and play puppet master behind political scenes. They don't just work in the gray, they are the gray. Where Starfleet Intelligence might sneak into a Romulan outpost to retrieve information, Section 31 would just blow it up and claim it never existed. Philosophical divide, idealism versus realism. The biggest difference between Starfleet Intelligence and Section 31 is philosophical. Starfleet Intelligence represents the Federation's idealism in practice. They operate under rules, attempt diplomacy when possible, and generally try to maintain the Federation's moral standards even when dealing with dark corners of galactic politics. Section 31, however, represents Federation realism. They exist because someone decided that pure idealism isn't enough, that utopia requires blood to be spilled in secret. They believe that the Federation's very survival depends on them doing what others won't. In many ways, Section 31 is a dark mirror of Starfleet itself. They believe in the Federation's values, just not in the methods used to uphold them. To Section 31, ethics are luxuries that get in the way of results. Legality and accountability. Another key difference lies in authority. Starfleet intelligence is legal. It is a part of Starfleet and ultimately answers to the Federation Council. Its agents can be held accountable even if that rarely happens, and its existence is public knowledge, even if its operations are not. Section 31 is extra-legal. It operates without Federation approval and often without Starfleet's knowledge. In fact, the majority of Starfleet officers don't even know Section 31 exists. There's no formal recruitment process. They approach people they consider useful, often blackmailing or manipulating them into service. It's like a shadow state within a state. Methods and morality. Starfleet intelligence generally follows Federation law. That means no assassinations, no unauthorized mind probes, and no interference in internal planetary matters, though they have bent these rules during crises. Section 31 ignores such constraints. Their methods include genetically engineered viruses like the one used against the founders, mind control and brainwashing as with Dr. Julian Bashir's attempted recruitment, blackmail, assassination, sabotage, and political manipulation. In short, Section 31 believes that the ends always justify the means. They have no illusions about morality, only survival. Portrayal across the franchise. Over time, both agencies have been explored in different lights depending on the era and tone of the show. Deep Space Nine. This is where Section 31 first appeared, and its debut was immediately chilling. When Sloan, a Section 31 operative, tried to recruit Dr. Bashir, he made it clear that patriotism and ethics weren't compatible. Bashir's moral horror stood in stark contrast to Sloan's cold pragmatism, a dynamic that became a recurring theme throughout DS9's later seasons. Starfleet intelligence, in contrast, was often shown as the less evil alternative. Admiral Ross was willing to work with Section 31, but not without discomfort. Enterprise. Here, Section 31's presence in the 22nd century added a new wrinkle, suggesting they had existed from the very beginning of Starfleet. In this pre-Federation world, their actions felt almost justified, given the volatile nature of interstellar relations. But even then, their secrecy and lack of oversight were troubling. Discovery. Section 31 took on a more stylized, high-tech, even James Bond-esque appearance in Discovery, complete with sleek uniforms and AI-driven command structures. The show leaned into Section 31's cool factor, even teasing a spin-off which has since been reworked into a Section 31 movie starring Michelle Yeoh as Emperor Georgiou. Still, the moral ambiguity remained. Georgiou herself is a former tyrant from the Mirror Universe, an ironic face for the Federation's supposed protectors. Picard and beyond. Starfleet intelligence remains the quieter of the two. In Star Trek, Picard, we see some remnants of intelligence agencies at work, especially in the form of Commodore O, secretly a Romulan infiltrator. The lines between intelligence, military, and political power blur further, suggesting that even the legal agencies may sometimes adopt Section 31-like tactics when desperate. Why have both? The answer lies in Star Trek's central conflict: idealism versus survival. Having both agencies allows the writers to explore different moral questions. Starfleet intelligence lets us ask, how can we do the right thing in a dangerous galaxy? Section 31, on the other hand, challenges us with, can you remain good if you're not willing to do what's necessary? The existence of both also reflects a truth about human nature. Even in a utopia, some will argue that security requires darkness. That safety is bought with secrets. That peace must sometimes be manufactured by those who don't get statues, parades, or even credit. Final thoughts. Section 31 and Starfleet intelligence are